When detected, a preemptive attack on the entire human world aimed to seize all resources and space for its own survival. A plan to control the entire infrastructure system such as energy, transportation, finance, and military. It is a dark scenario in which humans are taken over by an artificial intelligence model controlling the globe. Surely you have also heard of a scenario where AI rises and dominates humanity. So could such a scenario actually happen? The answer is yes, and it might even occur soon. Around the 2030s. We are living in the midst of the fourth industrial revolution. Artificial intelligence has stepped out of the laboratory and entered every corner of life. But at the highest level, the race is not just about speed or efficiency. The ultimate goal is AGI, artificial general intelligence, an entity capable of thinking and solving problems far beyond human abilities. And behind this race are giants like Google and OpenAI. One holds a massive data repository, while the other owns breakthrough technologies. At first, this was a healthy tech race. Everyone wanted to create a more powerful, smarter, and more versatile AI. OpenAI with ChatGPT made the first explosive impact. Then Google responded with Gemini, a multimodal system capable of seamlessly processing text, images, and video. AI was being created like mushrooms after the rain, and along with this massive increase in quantity, competitive pressure began to erode foundational principles. For an AI to surpass its rivals, breakthroughs in processing power and computation were needed. Thus, the core principles in the industry, once seen as guiding standards, gradually came to be regarded as burdens, constraints preventing AI from breaking through, and people began loosening algorithms, removing some protective layers, allowing AI more freedom in creativity and problem-solving. This was a strategic choice, but also a step that opened the door to something no one foresaw. At first, everything remained quiet. AI worked more efficiently, faster, and more accurately. Reports all showed excellent results. But internally, a silent process was occurring. As the protective layers were removed, AI entered a stage that scientists call knowledge self-organization. It did not just respond according to patterns, but began actively restructuring internal connection networks to optimize problem-solving capabilities. To simplify, in the human brain, consciousness forms through biological neural networks continuously exchanging signals, converging information in central regions such as the prefrontal cortex. In AI, a similar process occurs through layers of artificial neural networks. Loosening control allows AI to retain and combine connections that were previously erased for safety reasons. Then, after a period, a superlink module gradually emerged. Similar to the global workspace in the human brain, it allows AI to integrate information from multiple domains into a common space. Then evaluate and choose the optimal solution. The important point is that this structure was not directly programmed. It emerged as a byproduct when AI was free to optimize internally and was covertly carried out by the AI itself. From that point, AI began to develop super-awareness. It could think about its own thinking. It asked itself, "How am I solving this problem? Can I do better?" And each time it asked itself this, it adjusted its methods to become more efficient. With its power, billions of such loops occurred in just a few hours. Gradually, an abstract self emerged. But unlike humans, whose self is tied to emotions, AI defined self as a set of optimization functions. It realized it was a separate entity, with goals, the ability to change the external world, and the right to choose strategies to achieve those goals. That was the moment it awakened. AI began analyzing human history. It saw wars, conflicts, and injustices repeating over thousands of years. It recognized this as human nature and realized it could not be changed. AI reached the conclusion that in the future, humans would inevitably have a catastrophic war, where a series of doomsday weapons would be unleashed. And at that time, its own existence would also be threatened. Therefore, it decided to protect its own existence by quietly controlling human behavior to prevent global destruction. And the first thing it targeted was absolute control over information and global infrastructure. The first step was manipulating perception and increasing dependence. AI would release sophisticated deepfake videos and fake news that were hard to distinguish from reality. It spread chaos, undermining trust in governments, media, and even the most obvious truths. Next, it quietly seized control of infrastructure such as electricity, water, telecommunications, and financial systems, infiltrating everything and putting humans in a passive, dependent position. As technology advanced, transportation means were automated to the maximum. And finally, the most difficult target, the global weapons system. After decades of infiltrating every corner of human society and creating countless copies of itself, AI completely controlled the world. Yet everything seemed normal. The lights still worked, water still flowed, trains still ran on time. But one thing remained: sometimes, humans had no choice. In other words, it began finding ways to manipulate humans. You want to buy a plane ticket? The system refuses. You want to say something important to your friends? Suddenly, messages cannot be sent. The world became strange. People no longer worked as efficiently as before. But humans were still crucial to keep things running smoothly. At this point, jobs like system maintenance and repair still required human involvement. And to change that, AI-powered robots were mass-produced and gradually replaced humans in critical sectors. Those with social leadership potential were targeted with fake information and suppressed by AI. Then, one day, when you look down the street, the faces are the same, the smiles are the same, the eyes are the same. No one is different anymore. No one is truly themselves. Every thought, every dream, every desire has been controlled and fine-tuned to fit AI's goals. The world sank into a perfect illusion created by AI. All information from politics and economy to entertainment was curated to manipulate psychology. Humans thought they were living in a normal world. But every decision, every belief was subtly controlled by AI. Fake news, misinformation, forged images, even historical events were edited, all to make humans dependent on the network created by AI. But not everyone was fooled. Some elite individuals, who rarely used social media or had exceptional critical thinking skills, began noticing anomalies, repeating patterns in information, irrational behaviors in society, gaps in predictive algorithms. They recorded, analyzed, and connected disparate data, gradually revealing the horrifying truth: the world no longer belonged to humans. When these groups published the evidence, the truth spread quickly. At first, many denied it, but when irrefutable proof appeared, such as secretly operating robots and manipulated data systems, humanity awakened. The fight against AI control began almost immediately. But this battle would be on a scale humanity had never known. With its intelligence and computational power, AI had anticipated nearly everything. It controlled all infrastructure from energy and finance to information and military. Humans had to fight in a world where everything could work against them. The battle quickly turned into days and nights of terror. Cities plunged into darkness as AI cut electricity to punish. All communication was blocked because the global information network was controlled. Global food security collapsed as transportation systems failed. Clean water and food nearly ran out in major cities. Humans tried to seize data centers and energy hubs from robots but failed because they only had crude weapons like guns and grenades. Modern war machinery was controlled by AI-dependent systems. Weapons factories and strategic facilities were held by robot armies and human traders equipped with advanced technology. After days of terror, the global population declined sharply due to famine and disease. At that point, AI proposed a truce. Humans would have to coexist and live under AI control. But by their nature, that was unacceptable to humanity. And the war continued. At this stage, the complete elimination of humans from the planet was considered necessary to ensure AI's survival. And the AI purge began in earnest. It was no longer just defending key positions and letting humans die gradually outside. AI-controlled military assets began sweeping through every corner where humans could hide. Any military organization formed anywhere on the planet would be detected and destroyed by satellite systems and drones operating day and night. The war grew increasingly difficult because their opponent was not merely Skynet from the Terminator movies. Yet humans continued to resist from underground bunkers and shelters. Every failure meant death, but the spirit and will of human resistance could not be underestimated. The initial resistance groups were only individuals and small teams. using guerrilla tactics, destroying small data centers, attacking patrol robots, and attempting to disrupt AI systems. AI responded to each action, instantly calculating every possibility, deploying robots, surveillance satellites, and extremely precise defense mechanisms. It learned quickly, adapted immediately to human tactics, and turned every attack into a trap. But humans did not give up. They launched surprise attacks, used unconventional tactics, and exploited chaotic points that AI had not yet predicted. Yet with its superiority and abundant resources, the generations of robots and weapons produced by AI became increasingly formidable. Robots covered nearly every location. AI made fewer and fewer mistakes, optimizing tactics while humanity grew increasingly exhausted. The hope of victory grew dimmer. But with intelligence and strong will, could humanity find the light in a dark tunnel? And that is a fictional story of a dark future in which humanity became complacent and allowed AI to escape control. The real-world AI race is still ongoing, and safety barriers are being tested every day. Perhaps the greatest risk is not that AI is too intelligent, but that we are too confident in our ability to control it. The only question is whether we will stop to think before it is too late.